Over 1,500 lives were lost in the sinking of the Titanic. One of the most powerful instances of courage and honor from that night was displayed by the members of the ship's orchestra. Even as every human inside was rushing about trying to save themselves, those 8 musicians, all strangers who met for the first time on the ship to play together as a band, decided voluntarily to use their music to offer some fleeting comfort to all those troubled souls around them. Though it wasn't their duty, they were common folk, civilians with no formal training or instruction to look out for the other human. They banded together to display their unflappable dignity, continuing to play for as long as the ship remained afloat. All of them perished. 5 of them were young men, still in their 20s. Except for the band leader, Sir Wallace Hartley, none of their bodies would ever be found. Sir Hartley's was recovered nearly a fortnight following, floating in the frozen waters of the Atlantic, his violin, which was a gift from his fiancée, strapped to his chest. All these 8 men were the sole earners of their families. On their passing, their helpless families approached the White Star Line, the British shipping company that owned the Titanic, for the financial aid that was due to them as specified in the Workmen's Compensation Act. White Star Line refused, stating that since they were second-class passengers, they were not covered for any compensation, and pointed the bereaved family to CWF, the music agency that had recruited them for this job. The rogues at CWF in turn turned the families away, asking them to speak to the insurance firm for a settlement. The insurance company refused to even listen to the families, claiming that since the musicians were all freelancers, they were not entitled to any settlement. These faceless, soulless, greed-driven corporations had systematically desecrated the honor of these gallant humans. Several appeals were made to the morality of these companies, to no avail. When one felt it couldn't get any worse, one of the families received a letter from the scums at CWF, that recruitment agency. Enclosed was a bill for 14 shillings, due for the uniform that had been provided prior to the boarding of the Titanic. It hadn't been settled and CWF was demanding that the family clear this outstanding. Major public outrage followed. How could the families of these incredible human beings be treated so despicably? And then the musicians' fraternity that had silently been witnessing this banded together. A month after disaster had struck and days following that contemptible behavior from these companies, on the 24th of May, 473 of the greatest musicians from 7 different professional orchestras under the command of 7 celebrated maestros assembled at the Royal Albert Hall to honor the memory of those 8 fallen musicians and to raise funds for their families. To this day, it is held as the greatest professional orchestra ever assembled. Attendance was at well above capacity, with barely any standing room in the hall, with several thousand patrons present that evening, the majority being those who'd never even remotely been interested in classical music. An event that restored one's faith in humanity, in knowing that often at times of crisis it is up to us as humans to look out for other humans, just like the musicians of the Titanic had selflessly looked out for every other human on that ship.